Welcome to the Tea Sympathy Podcast. My name is Audrey Kavanagh-Dowsett, and I'm your co-host. Together, my mum and I own a trio of iconic little British restaurants in downtown Manhattan: Tea Sympathy, Carry On Tea Sympathy, and Assault and Battery. But we're known for more than just our delicious menu. We are a community for those seeking British comforts and sensibilities in New York. Over the 34 years since my mum opened Tea Sympathy's doors, we've had an amazing crowd of transatlantic visitors, including leaders in fashion, culture, and the arts, all looking for that perfect English brew. Now, we want to bring those conversations to a larger audience. My mum is a well-known character in downtown Manhattan with a bold personality and an admirable lack of filter. I live between London and New York, finishing university in England and running the businesses in the US with my mum. You can catch behind-the-scenes stories and hear more from me in my Substack newsletter appropriately titled From Across the Atlantic. Today on the Tea Sympathy Podcast, Ronson and Ann Dexter-Jones join us for tea and a conversation about their lives as night people and the worlds they've moved through on both sides of the Atlantic. Ronson is one of the most influential producers working today. He has collaborated with artists including Amy Winehouse, Lady Gaga, Adele, Paul McCartney, Bruno Mars, Miley Cyrus, Raye, Lily Allen, Lipa and Sabrina Carpenter. He has earned 9 Grammy Awards along with an Oscar and a Golden Globe. Born in London and raised in New York, Mark has always lived between the two cultures. His new book, Night People, looks back at DJing in 90s New York and the late night world that shaped his early career, capturing the music, the characters, and the scene that defined his start. Ann Dexter-Jones is a jewellery designer and a fixture on the London and New York scene. She is the mother of Mark, Samantha, Charlotte, Annabelle, and Alexander, and is married to Mick Jones, the guitarist and rock and roll Hall of Famer from Foreigner. Mark and Ann have been coming to Tea Sympathy since the early days, and they understand why this little corner of the West Village has always felt like home for Brits in New York.
Mama!
Hi.
Hello, darling.
Oh,
Hello.
Oh, look at how gorgeous that is. You can smoke in here if you want, I don't care.
Not
Is that all
since
your jewellery, Ann?
1997.
Is this all your jewellery?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I
Love
have
that
the
bow.
The milk,
Yeah.
sorry.
My bow tie.
Can you pour Ann's tea? It's your bow
I
tie.
can do it. They call it a bolo
A
in
bolo?
America. Well, this is very nice.
I'm excited.
I love it. I feel very special. We're the only table in the room.
When did you first come to Tea Sympathy, and do you remember meeting my mum?
Who can forget? Who can forget? We were just bonded straight away. We're both royalists. We love the Queen. We were all here for the Jubilee. Every birthday celebration of the littlest person in England, we were here.
Yeah.
And I loved her forthrightness.
Lots of Tea Sympathy food at home. What are some of your
Well,
favourite
it-
British dishes?
What I do is
Choking.
I'm having a lot of people. If I'm having 40, 50 people, I'd be roasting chickens and legs of lamb.
Of course.
I'd put out chicken and leek
Leek pie.
pie and the macaroni cheese.
So where did you learn to be a night person? Were your parents throwing great parties?
Well, I think it wasn't that my parents entertained a lot. We had a curfew. My father was really strict.
As did you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Curfew.
And
Yeah,
it
but
was a
didn't you say
curfew.
somewhere about you the night time for you was also
Yeah.
like an escape from the daytime?
I felt that, when I was writing this book, when I started it, it wasn't called Night People, it was called 93 Till Infinity. It was named after this hip-hop song from the 90s. And then I just as I started to make it, okay, this isn't just a book about New York and nightclubs and DJing at a certain time. It's also about what brought us all together and what makes the night attractive to certain people. And for some people, it's obviously dancing, partying, going to get laid. There's drugs, there's all of that
Some
stuff.
danger, yeah.
But there's also the difference between people that I experienced who enjoy a night out, and then people who are night people who really came together because maybe their lives were tough, or they came from broken homes, or whatever it was, they were escaping something or running to something. So, and when I started the book, originally the first line, I just liked the way it sounded. I said, "I'm a night person like my parents before me."
So shall we order something to eat? Is there something you'd like for lunch?
Yes, always.
I will never forget you inviting Sean and I to Thanksgiving dinner with Michael Caine. And we said, we can't come. You said, what do you mean you can't come? I said, well, the fridge is broken. We can't afford a band to fix it. So Sean has to fix the fridge.
Yeah.
And we have to do a bit of painting. And in fact, we did for years until quite recently. Part of the ceiling was painted the wrong green because I did the painting. And for years after that, Sean and I would sit and go, we are mad.
Mark, do you have fond memories of English food in your home as a kid?
Oh yeah. Well, definitely sweets and all of that. Quavers once a month.
Yeah.
All those things that used to come
Love the
in.
quavers. Whole
here
boxes.
for-
Mum buys.
Yeah. And then I mean all the shepherd's pie and all those kind of things. I remember in my late 20s, early 30s, and this was kind of like in my heaviest, like getting absolutely like just obliterated on a Saturday night, and then just waking up like barely able to get out of the bed, but I could move enough to like call here at 3, and then the guy would come through with a taxi and giving the orders so like brain dead, like shepherd's pie, 6 curly whirlies, like, you know, whatever, and then the guy
And
rings
flakes,
the buzzer, and that was...
Do you remember calling? Oh, I'll never forget this. And Sean and I were watching TV one night, and Sean gets his phone out. And he goes, "Oh my God, Mark Ronson's just texted me." I go, "Make an album with me." You were texting Diddy, and you put the wrong number in. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, we never forgot. That was so brilliant. And Sean called you, and he went, "No, honey, that's
Sorry,
the
I'm
wrong
busy.
number."
That's amazing. I don't know how I forgot that.
What were the biggest cultural differences you noticed raising kids in America?
Number one I was strict on my kids' manners. They had to look you somebody in the eye and shake hands, and if they didn't, they'd have to do it again.
Yeah.
And
please and thank you.
And it was just that. It was also manners at the table. Some children were kind of pretty out there.
Badly behaved.
And kids copy kids, so we were on top of it too. Just without making it feel horrible, but just to keep that culture going, to watch a lot of English TV programs. Yeah.
What do you want to eat?
Coronation chicken salad sandwich.
Okay.
And
Thank
I'll
you.
have, do you do beans on toast?
Yeah, of course.
With Friday?
Of course.
Favourite.
Mark, what did being half British and half New Yorker mean to you as a kid?
Well, I mean, I got here and the kids are, they kind of tease you because that's what kids do. So I tried to sound American very quickly, and then I went back to England probably for like Christmas holidays. We've probably been here for 3 months, and then all my English friends were like, "Why do you sound like a Yank already?" This thing, and I'm like, "It's been 3 months," and I'm like, and I still have this real like, I've kind of gotten over it, but really until I was like in my 30s, I had this hang up about, because I was so aware that when I was in England, I started to sound really English. When I was here, I sound so American, and like the thing that just drive me mad is I was like, well, I don't want to people think I'm inauthentic or it's just some fake thing.
Can you do both accents?
Yeah, it'd probably be harder to do the English accent. But when I was living back in London in the 2010s or something, like I see old footage of myself on a TV show, like Nevermind the Buzzcocks or something like that, and I sound so full. I literally sound like I'm fucking in like the Libertines or something. I was like, who the fuck did I think I was?
I grew up in New York with English parents,
Yeah.
and so my accent will sort of flip and change depending on who I'm talking to. Is that something you sort of did as a kid? Is it something
yeah,
you've
I
grown
would
out
be
of?
like on the phone with my friends and in the era of call waiting, and I'd be speaking to my friend Alex. What are you gonna do this weekend? Gonna hang out with some girls, whatever. And call waiting would go, and my mother would be like, "Mark, what are you doing?" I'd be like, "I'm just in the bath," like just in the bath, mommy. It would put like that.
Well, your DJ name had changed a couple of times. You were DJ Old English to start with, and that didn't
Spark
stick.
the Spark.
Yeah, I thought Old English was funny because it was a cheap malt liquor that people drank and they referenced in rap songs. And then I switched my DJ name like almost every other week, and I just became Mark Ronson. I was like, fuck it. Because, DJ names are supposed to be like Grandmaster Flash, Stretch Armstrong, this kind of like amazing like thing that sounds like it comes with a cape and a backstory, but I didn't have a good one. So
I saw Stretch the other night and said, oh my goodness, Mark and Ann are coming on the show on Monday. And he said, you know, I wasn't gracious enough at the time because you had walked up to him and said, you know, I think we went to the same school. And he was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it was kind of embarrassing, but I needed to put it in this book because I just knew, A, it would make for good content, and B, it happened. And he says, you know, Stretch Armstrong was this legendary DJ in New York in the 90s. I came up hero worshipping him, and I wanted to be like him, and he was like 6 years older. Then I found out he went to my school, this buttoned up, like kind of privileged school on the Upper West Side. I couldn't believe that. So I listened to him on the radio, and I was convinced that he was black because he had this cool voice and baritone. I was like, there's no way there's any nerdy kid is the king of the hip-hop, like underground hip-hop scene. So then I started going to his gigs, and at first he hated me. He didn't hate me, but he was annoyed by this little fucking kid running up, like tugging on his pant leg, and I was stealing his mixes, you know, all this kind of shit. But so for many years we were not very cool. And then when I was writing this book, I sat down and I interviewed him for 4 or 5 hours, like I did most of the people. I interviewed like 200 people for this book. And he goes, yeah, you don't remember what you said to me the first night that we met? I was like, no. He said, well, it's really, I mean, it's embarrassing. I don't think you want to put it in the book. So he said, I went up to him at this gig, and I said, hey, I'm Mark. We went to the same school. And he said, oh, who would fucking brag about that? That corny place uptown? So instantly I was like already on the back foot trying to recover. I was like, oh yeah, that school, man. That place was fucking garbage bullshit, huh? And then I said, yeah, can you believe there are only like 3 black students in my entire class? Because I thought like that's high bond, like something about like being anti-privileged. Like I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. And then I could just see him look at me like even more horrified, like, where the fuck is this kid going with this? And I was just like...
Lugging records through the snow in your early days, lugging the crates up and down the stairs as a new DJ. What did that teach you?
I mean, not even as a new DJ. I did that for the first 15 years of my career because, you know, DJs who played house, you're playing sort of like 9-minute songs of Paul Oakenfold, that kind of thing in the era. You could roll up to the club with like a big bag filled and be fine. But hip-hop DJs or club DJs or whatever you want to call it, what we were playing, you brought 5 crates of records every gig because you didn't know if you were going to play funk, disco, soul, reggae, dance hall, all this stuff. I mean, I didn't even think twice about it. You just carried the records because you loved it, and that was kind of what you did. But and then, you know, in the 2000s, everything changed. You could DJ with a laptop or USB stick. But I love that era. I'm glad, listen, the convenience of now is great. I'm 50 years old and my back, like I wouldn't want to be carrying records like that. But I'm also glad that that came up in the era where you did, because there was also something really, like...
amazing.
You fucking loved it. Yeah, there was something about it, like that analog thing and playing vinyl and all of it.
But I guess it's sort of different when you're preparing for what that room is going to feel like and what those people want to hear when you're filing through and choosing your records for the night.
When every night I would be sitting on the floor of my apartment, the entryway where all the records were, for an hour putting the records together, because you were limited. You couldn't bring everything, so you're like putting it together, and then by looking at a record being like, oh, that's Intimate Connection by Clear, that'll go great with Loose Ends, and then you're starting to picture this imaginary crowd coming to life in your brain as you're thinking about DJing. So in some ways you have this like really lovely, it's like foreplay. You have this psychic connection with the crowd, even though you're just completely imagining who the fuck they are, but you have this thing when you go into the room, whereas just showing up to a club or wherever it is with, you know, the entire history of recording music on your laptop or your drive is like, it's not the same. And I talk about it in the book, I was a much better DJ back then because I cared so much and I was so in it. And nothing beats doing something 5 nights a week. Like you can't just like...
passion.
Your passion and living it. You're living it, you're out all the time, you're in that age. I wanted to write about the 90s because I didn't want to write about once I became famous or like, you know, I was never a superstar DJ, but once you're on the big stage or festival, everyone's coming to see you, because that's not the same thing as being like, that's not the same thing as being a 5-night-a-week gigging DJ. I was obsessed with for a while with Kitchen Confidential, the Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah, amazing.
And I just love the way he wrote kitchens in New York at night and that insane
Yeah.
level of mayhem and dealing with mafia owners and this kind of thing. And it was so similar to what it was like being a DJ. So I wanted to, I was definitely a little bit influenced by the tone of that.
Yeah.
And were you aware of the circle as Mark was running in the 90s, and did you overlap often? Did your worlds sort of run parallel?
Well, I used to get these phone calls sometimes, and he'd be in Avenue A, B, or C, and he'd call me saying, "Oh my God, I'm here ready to DJ. I don't know if anybody's going to show. Can you come down?" And it would be my night off in a pair of sweatpants, and I go, okay. On came my jeans, midnight, a T-shirt, and I'd go down there, and by the time I got there would be like 50 people deep.
Brilliant.
And then fortunately, because I was such a night person, I knew the bouncers.
Yeah.
And I was trying to meander through these hundreds of people waiting, and suddenly I hear Mohammed goes, "Mrs. Ronson, make way for Mrs. Ronson." And then, because I knew if I tried to push in, they'd kill me.
Yeah.
And then look at this sort of more senior white woman pushing through into the hip hop. But I loved it. I mean, I loved the music. And I'd go there and I said, "Mark, I don't think you have to worry about." And
Do you prefer being a DJ or producing?
I never wanted to be a DJ. Like, I always wanted to play music. I wanted to play in a band. And then when I was 16, I had this... Everybody was kind of an exceptional musician, and I was pretty good, but I was just becoming frustrated. And then my best friend, Sean Lennon, he went away one summer to like South America and came back playing like Antonio Carlos, Joe Beam, like some shit. Like, we had always been on the same level, and I was like, if this is what being a musician is like, I don't know if I'm on that level. And then at that same time, I really fell in love with Tribe Called Quest and Pete Rock and CL Smooth and this kind of music, and I was like, I don't really want to be in a band anymore. I want to be like involved in this kind of music. And obviously I wasn't a rapper or know anything about producing. So I became a DJ, and it was this strange, not strange, but this bypass detour that my career took for a while. But I think I always wanted to be making music. It was just like, this was this very exciting thing. So
when you're dressing for a show,
yeah,
or even to go to the studio, how do you want your clothes to make you feel?
I think for most of my 20s and early 30s, I didn't really think about that at all. I think the way I dress is just the way every DJ dress, kind of like some T-shirt from Supreme and jeans and Air Max 90s. But then when I started to go in the studio and then become fascinated with those old Blue Note album covers from the 50s where everyone was dressed so well and kind of like as if you're going to work, like you mean business. I did start to dress up exactly. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm definitely not pulling my weight here today. You all look incredible, and I look like it.
You can carry it.
Yes.
And so I started to dress up, and I remember I was producing a record for this band called the Kaiser Chiefs, the English like indie band, and there was one day after like I was dressing up all the time, and you're dealing with like 5 unruly rock and rollers from Leeds. Like, it helps to dress a bit like the school teacher, like keep everybody in line. And I came one day because it was like literally laundry day. Like, I just came in a T-shirt and nobody listened to me that day. And I was like, well, what the fuck is going on here? I'm trying to get you guys to play this thing. Like, we don't have to listen to you today. You're dressed like a skateboard kid,
No.
Like, I was like, it's funny how that sense of dressing like has a little authority.
Nowadays, when you're dressing as a producer, what is your...
I think it's funny, I do have this like existential crisis sometimes. It's not that intense, but maybe going to the studio with like younger artists, like maybe 23-year-old pop star I'm going in for the first time, or maybe with another producer, I'm like, okay, fuck, like, do I want to try and like dress like in something cool that makes me like seem younger? Like, it's not something I obsess about, but it definitely crosses my mind. And then there's other days where I'm just gonna own the fact that I'm an old fucking mature, experienced guy in the room as well. So there are things I think about. I think I'm a little less self-conscious about it than I used to be, because I'm just like a little more, what's the word, not confident, but just like, I am who I am.
Older,
Yeah, you just kind of
Sure
like,
of
I know who
yourself,
I
yeah,
am. You just settle into whatever
And
you're
his
supposed to be.
stepfather, Mick was always wearing sharp English suits or giving a slight
Right.
rock and roll
Right.
to it.
Well,
Yeah,
and
he-
you're
Yeah.
always dressed to the nines.
Always.
Always looking glamorous.
Well,
always with the
don't
jewelry.
come to my house before noon.
I actually have been to your house before noon.
Yeah.
And I have seen you in sweatpants, and you still looked amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got all the
And it's
beautiful
how
jewelry
I
that you
feel.
make.
Well, because I'm just flashing them now.
But that's okay. That's great that you flash
And
them.
this you made.
You're a
this is
flusher, Anne.
fabulous.
You're a
No,
flusher.
I just like the fun of the costume.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm usually in jeans and a t-shirt or a sweater.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not, but to me, it's sort of something creative. Just put it together. I don't spend days doing it. I don't enjoy shopping. If I see something, I just get it. And my children have gone through all different stages. Mark went through his Tommy Hilfiger stage, then his Brooks Brothers stage. And
Brooks
then,
Brothers?
Yes,
I
you
don't
went
know
to
where-
Brooks Brothers for a while.
When you had that
When I was a
haircut.
kid.
When you were a kid.
When you had
Oh,
that
when I was
haircut.
okay,
and
so
somebody-
the chronology is a little off, but yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he went through that, and then he developed his own style.
Mm.
You have collaborated with everyone from Amy Winehouse to Lady Gaga. What do the best collaborations have in common?
That's a really tough question. I mean, the best collaborations,
one.
it definitely helps when you're working with someone who just has such a fucking comet of talent, like the people you just mentioned, you know? And then there's synergy, you know? Like, I mean, Amy when I met her, she had been working on the follow-up to Frank for 5 years, you know? And I'm sure she'd been in the room with really talented people. And I remember when I went in and I told a friend, because I wasn't anybody at that point either. My friend Seb, the DJ from London, I was like, yeah, I'm going in with Amy Winehouse, and he said something to the effect of like, oh yeah, I heard she's been working on that album for 4 years. Like, essentially, good luck with that. And then the way that we met, we just had such an instant bond and a synergy that, you know, we made half of Back to Black in like the first week that we met. But yeah, sometimes it's just synergy. It's just thing that you feel like you can bring. There's plenty of artists that I also love that I don't know if I got in the room with them I'd bring anything to the table either, or if it would be a match. But with those people, yeah, it's like their extraordinary talent. You can bring something that fits that thing that helps make them even more powerful, and then usually I can always tell like the first coffee with somebody if we're going to get along, and I can do something with them as well.
When did you first meet Dua Lipa? I believe you've said that's a collaboration
Yeah.
that sort of works.
Yeah, no, she's again like a really wonderful person, and gotten to be friends. I met her a show, I'd seen her, she had posted, just when she was first getting big, she had done a version of Valerie, and even she'd done a more obscure song of mine, a song called Somebody to Love Me. And I had this demo of the song Electricity. I had actually maybe played it for Florence or something, or Florence was going to sing it, and the last minute Florence was like, oh, I can't, I'm working on my own album right now. I did, work on that. And my friend Andrew, who now I write basically everything with, was like, I just worked with this girl, Dua Lipa. The voice is incredible. Like, it was just as New Rules was blowing up, but that was the only song I knew. He's like, you should play it for her. And I sent the demo to do it. And she was like, yeah, I love it. Like, let's finish the song, I'll come sing it. And then from that, kind of then worked on the Barbie stuff, and now we've been working on her album and Friends, and yeah.
Very exciting.
But again, she's just she's like one of those people, and so cliche to say like, oh, they don't act like a superstar or something, but she's almost bizarre. Like, she walks around, you'd like forget that she's doing 2 nights at Wembley Stadium. She just like prefers to walk around. Like, I think you can tell those kind of superstars that their life isn't like a million paparazzi outside, because they somehow manage to navigate and live their life in a way that doesn't fully attract all that energy.
Yeah.
So I definitely admire her for that.
And Gaga sort of said you invited her into what's usually a boys' club of really getting in the studio and being part of those conversations that shape the music. I don't know, can you speak to that?
Well, she's said that. To me, batshit to me, because I don't understand. She's always said to me, like, I like how you listen to me, because I've been in the studio sometimes with these other male producers who have this thing. I'm like, to me, like, I don't get credit for that. That's the absolute ground floor, to listen to an artist. Like, I'm more in my mind like, what fucking idiot is going to be in a room with someone like Lady Gaga and not listen to what she has to say? But I understand that is like a thing that happens. I certainly don't get any credit for doing the bare minimum of listening, but I understand when she says that. And I think that when you're in the room with that person, whether it's Lady Gaga or it's Bruno Mars or whoever, like, they have something fucking special. Like, I used to have more of an ego as a producer, and I would get annoyed if I had an idea and then if somebody else said, no, I don't like that, I like this idea. Because, we all have our ego and our kind of, like, insecurities. Working with Bruno Mars, like, you'll never be wrong more times than working with Bruno Mars, because his ideas are so great. And in the beginning, you're just like, fuck, I love being wrong with this guy, because, like, the amount of creative arguments we had over Locked Out of Heaven or Uptown Funk or these things. And then, but then where we get to is always better.
However big they are, there's a humble feeling to that, because it's so natural to them.
Yeah.
It's not like they went to the school of rock or something.
Yeah.
It was innate since they were younger, and it was just something they were humble about, and you're humble, and the meeting of the two of you have a humble quality to you, but it's, how good you are.
So it's real.
But you have a humble quality to you. It just meshes. It doesn't mean they're right all the time.
No one's right all the time.
Yeah. I think with artists, it's not always humble, though, because I think some artists only get that way by being so sure of their thing as well. And then also artists are like, we all know the most talented people can also be the most insecure, so you also have to navigate.
No, but I just meant an innate sense of they know how good they are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they think it's an accident and we're so grateful this accident happened.
Yeah, but I think all artists, because I share some of that, are so insecure that maybe there's never that feeling like I deserve to be in the room. There can be a little bit of it, but I think every artist, thinks that they're one flop album away from being completely forgotten about as well.
But you've definitely paired yourself with people that the whole thing has just meshed and taken off, and it's been amazing.
Sometimes, yeah, and there's been people that I didn't. Like, I made an album with the band The Gossip. It was like, I think it was at a time when I was getting married at the time with my first wife. I was doing drugs, I was partying, I was kind of messy. I was doing too many things, and I got fired from that record, and the music we were making was pretty average. That was a good example of a band that I was a fan of, but like putting 1 + 1 together is not always 3.
I'll tell you who I've just become obsessed with, who came to visit, who was amazing, is Youngblood. What do you think of him?
Yeah, he's really talented. He's having an amazing moment. Did he come? He was here?
Yeah, he was here.
That's amazing.
Yeah, doing this big PR thing here. He was fantastic.
This is I mean, I remember coming in the 90s and 2000s, this was always such a place for musicians. I mean, obviously a lot of English musicians, and hearing you tell stories about Glenn Tilbrook and Chris Difford and everybody, and is it still like that here? This is really a haven for musicians.
I think it's sort of like a living room for culture.
Yeah, of course. Amazing.
Beans on toast, love. It's like the other way round.
Oh, I took it
Let me get
assuming.
napkins and knife and fork.
Want me to get it?
I love beans on toast with a banger.
She's reading the leaves, rolling up her sleeves.
I've never heard you use that word. My dad, I've heard use that word plenty of times. Bye.